Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to go ahead and try to take this Peruvian walnut and this curly maple. We're going to put them together and we're going to come up with some coasters. I haven't made any coasters yet, so this is going to be a new project and a new design for me. Stick around, we're going to get to it right now. Alright, so what do we need to start these coasters? So I have my piece of curly maple and my Peruvian walnut here, both of which I got at the local woodcraft about 45 minutes away. I've cut them both to 17 inches. I'm going to make a set of 4. They're going to be 4 by 4, so this is about an inch longer than I need. They are 17 inches by 3/4 of an inch. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rip 2 of the Peruvian walnut down to 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to rip 1 inch of the curly maple. I don't know why I can't remember the name of it, but anyway. So I'm going to do 2 at 1.5 inches and 1 at 1 inch. So let's go to the table saw and get that going. Alright, so just to clarify, this Peruvian walnut did come from woodcraft. This curly maple, or whatever they called it, came from Lowe's, the big box store. So anyway, now that we know where they came from, let's get them ripped. I want to do 1.5 inches on the Peruvian walnut. I want to do 2 of those. So get this set at 1.5. Now we're just going to rip 2 at 1.5. And we're going to drop 1 on the floor. Alright, then we want one maple at 1 inch. Alright, now we have our 2 Peruvian walnut, 1 maple, and they're going to go together like so. First thing I'm going to do is going to just run them ever so slightly through the jointer so all of the edges are nice and straight and smooth, and to get a good seam on the glue up. We don't want to take too much off because then your 4-inch square is going to get a little bit smaller. What I like to do is I like to run them all through at the same time, but being that the maple is shorter, that one has to go by itself. Alright, so this side has been planed. This is the side I'm going to glue the maple in the middle. So I'm going to just kind of mark these with a pencil as not the side we're going to glue together. And then the maple, I planed both sides so we can get a good glue edge on both sides of it. We're going to go ahead and get them glued up. And we're just going to let them sit overnight. It's the end of the day. So we're going to let them sit overnight, and then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll see how it looks. So I've been doing the glue ups in the porch, but it is 50-something degrees today, which is kind of crazy because it was 30-something degrees yesterday. So let me get this stuff and I'm going to do the glue up in here. Okay, so I'm ready to do the glue up. So I put some blue painter's tape on the clamps, and I have some cawls here. So I got some tape on them as well, just so they come off a little bit easier. It does leave a little bit of blue tape on there, but you can get that off through the planer or sanding. So let's get some glue on these things. So we really only need to put the glue on the two pieces, because when you flip this over, this one's going to get glued to that one. But you do want to make sure you cover your whole thing with glue. So my thought is, with this, I glue it up as one big piece. It's 17 inches long, which is 1 inch longer than I want it to be. So then we'll glue it up. We'll plane it down to the 3/4, or not, from the 3/4 to the 1/2 inch, and then we'll trim a 1/2 inch off each side. Well, not really. I mean, we'll skim each side, and then we'll cut our 4-inch squares to make them into coasters. And then I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with them after that. I'm thinking maybe just give them a little bit of a round over. I probably didn't need to get that towel. I bet I have one right here in my pocket. Anyway. So we're going to go ahead and set this in. Try to keep it as straight and as flush as possible. Give it a little bit of a squeeze. Bring this one down. Flush it up. A little bit of a squeeze as well. And then I'm just going to bring these in slowly. Just give them a little snug. Just a little bit of pressure. And then I'm going to come in with the cawls. So we can make sure that the boards are nice and flat. And then I'll come in and squeeze these a little bit tighter and just add more clamps. You know, they say you can never have enough clamps. But there's only so many clamps you can fit on. Alright, I'm going to add a couple more clamps, but we're going to cut it here, and this is going to sit overnight, meaning it's the end of the day here. We'll come back tomorrow, take it out of the clamps, and see what we come up with. Alright, so I'll be back. Alright, so here we are a day later. The board is all glued up. It's ready to come out of the clamps. And that's how you do that. And like I said earlier, the tape helps. It keeps the wood from bonding to the wood. You can easily clean up the tape when it sticks to the wood, but not so easily if you're bonding the two woods together. That's the whole purpose of the glue, right? In the future, when I'm gonna do this, I just didn't have any here. I'm going to use clear tape, like the clear packing tape, because that won't stick as much with the glue. From my experience, anyway. So I cleaned up a lot of the glue on this side with a wet rag, but I didn't get the bottom. There wasn't enough room to get a rag in there. But anyway, our next step is we're going to clean that up anyway. The board now is 3/4 of an inch. We're going to mill this down to about a 1/2 inch, and we're going to use the new planer for that. So I'm just taking it's not a, you know, super fancy, super sharp. It's not super fancy, super sharp chisel. It's just an old one that I've had. It probably was my father's at one point. So I did run it and sharpen it just a little bit, It's not like a precision chisel. It's just I need something real quick kind of chisel. So I'm just going to get these big chunks off. I know the planer will make short work of the rest of it. So before we go too much further on this planer, I got a little something to put on there. So I went and had stickers made with my logo. So I got quite a few made, found a good deal. I'll put a link in the description below for the sticker production company. I've used a couple of different ones. I don't remember which one these came from, but I'll find out and put a link below. If you would like a sticker free of charge, I'll mail you one for the next, let's see, till the end of January, until I run out of stickers. I think I probably got, I don't know, at least 50 or 60 stickers left. So if you want one between now and the end of January, send me a message on Facebook, Jay Creates Woodworks, or here on YouTube, and I'll get one out to you. But for now, we're going to go ahead and put one on here, just because I want to. I have one on the miter saw. I also have a 77 Rockets woodworking sticker on my miter saw. Make sure you check out his channel. I'm going to have to put one on the planer. That is the planer. I mean the jointer. But we'll do that later. Anyway. So being that this is 3/4, I want it to be 1/2 inch. I'm not going to jam it through and take a 1/2 inch off right away. You got to work that down little by little. It's just easier on the blades, easier on the wood. Get this measured out. I don't even know if you guys can see this. The camera's pretty close. Close enough, right? Here we go. It's looking good. It's got just about all that glue cleaned up. That side looks really nice. This side's got a little bit of glue left. About 11/16. So we're going to keep coming down. So we want to come down to 1/2 inch. So oh, that's looking really nice. It's going to make some pretty looking coasters. A little bit more. So I'm going to plane this down a little bit more. We're at like 9/16, so we got to come down about another 1/16 of an inch or so. But let me get this planed up, and we'll come back and get on the next step. All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm so happy to have a planer. You can do all this stuff without all these fancy tools or the planer or whatever. It just makes it a heck of a lot easier to do it with a planer. So we got this planed down to 1/2 inch. It looks awesome. Still need the sanding. Even though you plane it, still need to give it a good sanding. Get all the edges. But first thing I'm going to do is, so we're turning this into coasters, right? So I'm going to go ahead and measure out the size of the coasters. So these are going to be 4 inches by 4 inches. I want to shave the ends off via the miter saw. So I'm just going to like ever so slightly get the end off, make sure that's straight, both ends, and then we'll measure out. All right, so like I said, I'm just going to barely kiss the wood with this saw blade just to shave the end off. All right, looks good, looks good, looks good. Now we need to measure out 4 inches. So now after trimming it, the board is 16 and about 5/8. So I got the 4 inches marked out, and I'm going to set up a stop block so I can do them all exactly the same. First thing, I'm going to get it where I want it, and the stop block just happens to be another piece of the Peruvian walnut. Alright, let's get these 4 coasters cut. 4 inches each. And there we have the 4 coasters. So what's next? First of all, I'm going to give them a quick sanding to get rid of the fuzzies from the saw. It's not a lot, just a little bit of blowout when you come down. I call them fuzzies. Anyway, so we're going to give them a quick little sanding, knock off the fuzzies, and then I think do I want to put a little chamfer on them, a little 45 or a round over? Leave me a comment below. What's your preferred way to make coasters? Do you just keep them square? Do you round them over? Do you just sand them? Do you put a chamfer on them? You know, let me know below, because this is not the last set I'm going to make, especially if they look this good already. Anyway, let me get the sander out. I'll come back after that, and I'm going to decide whether I want to do a round over or a chamfer. Alright, so I did dig out the router table, but I can't get that router out from underneath, so it's going to be a whole other project in itself, trying to get it out of there and figuring it out. But for now, I got my handheld router clamped to the table, so by all means, if you don't feel comfortable doing it like this, don't do it. I've done it before. I feel comfortable with it. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So anyway, let's get the round over on these, and then I think that the final step after that is to put a little oil on it. Did I bring the oil? I did not bring the oil. I might have to go home first. I don't know. I got some walrus oil here. I don't know. We'll figure it out. That's that. That looks awesome. You know, it still has a defined 4-corner edge, but it's slightly rounded over. I like it. I like it. I'm going to do 3 more. Then we'll give them a sanding. And we'll figure out what kind of oil's here. I might have to run home and get the oil, but let's get these routed out. Alright, so there we have it. You got the 4 coasters. I put the slight round over on all 4 edges, top and bottom. It doesn't really matter. The top is the top, the bottom is the bottom. They look the same. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and give them, not the final sanding, but I'm going to give them a good sanding. And then I'm going to do what they call a water pop. Right, so when you make cutting boards or coasters or bar boards or whatever you want to do, what they say you should do is give it, okay, let's call it final. Give it a final sanding, and then spray them down with water or wipe them with a damp cloth. Let the water dry, and it's going to raise any little wood fibers, the little hairs. It's going to raise them up, and then you do a final sanding, which is going to knock down those fibers, and then you can finish it. Today we're just going to use walrus oil. Some people finish them with epoxy or another type of sealer. A lot of people just put oil on them. I'm going to pause here, sand these up, water pop them, sand them again, and then we'll come back and we'll put some finish on them together. And when I say finish, I mean oil. All right, so let me do that. Okay, welcome back. The sanding is done. I did, I think, 180 when I first sanded it, 220, did a water pop, and then finished it off with a 320. I hit it with the tack cloth and the air duster to get all the sawdust off. And now we're going to put on the walrus oil furniture finish. It's just an oil. It's going to seep in and protect the wood. So this is penetrating oil-based wood finish made with food contact safe ingredients, tung oil, sunflower oil, and hemp oil. Wipe it on, let it dry for 24 hours, wipe it off, and then you're good to go. And this is something that you can reapply as they start to dry out as well. It's not going to happen right away. Probably won't happen for a little while. So it's always good to have some sort of oil on hand. But the first thing we need to do, being that this is a set of 4, I'm not going to brand all 4 pieces. I'm going to put my brand just on one piece. And we're going to do that right now. I've had it over here warming up for about a half an hour. And I think it'll reach the corner of the table. So let me bring you closer so you can watch. So this is the brand I got off of Etsy. I'll put a link in the description below. I know of a few other woodworkers that use that same seller on Etsy. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab any one of these. I'm not going to stick it like right in the middle. I'm going to try to do it down in the corner. And hopefully it comes out good. The last couple times I did use it, it came out really, really good. So we're going to hold it down for about 12 seconds. Alright, I did 15 seconds. I mean, it is a little bit dark on the walnut. See, the only thing about this kind of brand is it does leave like a halo around it of burnt wood. But I believe you can sand that and make it look a little bit better. So I'm just going to lightly sand over it. You can see it's bringing out the lettering a lot more. Just getting off some of that burnt wood. Now, I'm no professional on branding either, but I think that looks pretty good for me. How's that? I think that looks pretty good. Right, now that the fancy brand is on the bottom, like I said, I'm not gonna brand all 4 pieces. This is gonna be a 4-piece set, and it's probably just gonna go to my brother or another family member. So I'm not gonna load it up in my brand. Even if I was gonna sell it, I'd only put my brand on 1 piece. The final step here, I'm gonna get some walrus oil. Like I said, this is just an everyday furniture oil. It's plant-based ingredients: tung oil, sunflower oil, hemp oil. Lather it up, buff it out tomorrow, and make it shine. Let's do it. I'm just going to load up the towel. Let's do this one so you can see what it's going to look like here. Oh, look at that. Nice and glossy. Alright, so there's oil and no oil. I think it's going to look real good. I mean, it's not going to stay super shiny. This is like a matte finish. But it's still going to look really good. And yes, normally I put gloves on. But apparently I forgot. I think I'm going to do like I do with the orange oil. I think I'm just going to pour it on and just, you know, massage it into the piece with my hands rather than wipe it on. Get all the edges. Look at that. Shiny. So like I think I said earlier, you know, put a comment down below. Let me know what your go-to finish is, or your go-to oil would be for cutting boards, or whatever these things are, coasters, cutting boards, you know, all that good stuff. Let me know what your go-to oil is or your go-to finish. I do plan on making a bunch of these in the future. I really like how that two-tone is coming out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and maybe watch one of these videos right here. and catch you on the next one. Look how awesome those things look. Okay, that's all. See you later. Bye-bye. Hey, welcome back to Jay Creates. Today we're working with the Peruvian walnut and the maple once again. We're going to make a holder for those coasters we made a couple weeks ago, and we're going to get to it right now. So let's get on it. All right, so those coasters, and I'll pop a picture of it on the screen because I didn't bring it with me today, but they are 4 inches by 4 inches square. As you can see in the video, I'll put a link up here for the video. I gave them a slight round over on top and bottom edges, and they came out beautifully and amazing. But today we're going to go ahead and make something to hold those coasters. So instead of having just 4 coasters to pile up, maybe they slip, maybe they don't, we're going to make a little holder for them. So we're going to take the Peruvian walnut again and the maple, and I haven't really I got a picture of in my head what I want, but I think I want the base to be 4.5 by 4.5 inches, so that's just a little bit of extra all the way around. The coasters are 4 inches, so we're going to go 4.5 by 4.5 square. So this is 4. We're going to have to glue these two together, and then we'll cut it to size after that. And then we're going to take the maple, and I'm going to kind of make not dowels, but little square pieces we're going to glue onto each corner, and it's going to look, well, it's going to look good. I don't quite know how to explain it, but you'll see as we go along. Cut this, glue it together, and we'll set that aside. And then while that's drying, we're going to work on the side holders. So I'm going to cut this into maybe like strips of a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch. Then we're going to put 2 strips on each side, maybe 45 of them. I'm not quite sure the exact way I'm going to do it yet, but anyway, we're going to have them standing up like this, 1 on each side, or it's 1 piece going around the corner, and maybe 3 inches tall. So to get going on that, I got to get the table saw out, got to cut this with the miter saw. I don't know, there's lots of stuff going on, so don't go anywhere. Gonna move some stuff around, and we'll do some ripping and cutting. So before I do any gluing, I'm gonna run these through the joiner real quick, make sure we have nice good flat edges for them to glue up together and make a nice tight seam. Okay, so we're gonna glue these together. Well, I'm gonna cut this one down in the miter saw just because it's super long compared to the other one. All right, so I trimmed this down a little bit, so now it's about the same size as that one. I'm gonna run this maple through the jointer, and then we're gonna put some glue on that. All right, so that should be a nice flat edge on both sides. We're gonna use that when we do the ripping on the table saw. All right. So I got the glue off the porch. It's nice and warm, although it's pretty cold in here. Just gonna go ahead and glue these 2 pieces together. I'm gonna put a little bit on both the sides, both edges. That way I know everything is covered, and we'll get a good, decent squeeze out when we put them together. I'm just going to kind of rub them together. And then let's clamp them up. Try to keep them flush, but it's okay. We're going to cut it anyway, so it doesn't have to be like perfect. I'm going to go with the 3 clamps, nice and tight. Got some good squeeze out. And then we're going to take this into the porch where the wood stove is going, and we're gonna let it dry in there. Put the glue in where it's warm. Got my hand warmers going. So we got the walnut glued up and drying. So I'm gonna get the table saw, wheel it out here, And I'm going to rip some strips off of that maple. I'm thinking a 1/4 inch. I don't know. We're gonna try a couple things. Well, I'm gonna try a couple things, and I'll show you what comes up in the end. I was standing out of the way because I knew that was going to happen. I'd like to get like a thin rip jig or something like that, but not at the present moment anyway. I know it's going to kick back, and that's why I stand to the side. So this is 5/16, 3/8 of an inch. Oh, the 3/8 of an inch might be. Oh, that might be pretty good. That might work. I'm not sure exactly how tall they're going to be yet, so I'm going to rip a couple more, standing out of the way. Alright, so I ripped 3 of these maples very carefully, as you saw on the table saw. Don't do as I do, be safe, all that stuff. So we got 3 strips, about 5/16, or I don't know. I forgot already. So we got the 3 strips at, yeah, about 5/16, almost 3/8 of an inch. So I think that'll be good. And then we're going to need, let's see, 2, 4, 6. We're going to need 8 of these at whatever length. I'm thinking 3.5, 4 inches. We'll figure that out once I change the battery in the camera and that wood glue dries, so don't go anywhere. Alright, so the glue is almost done, almost ready to be worked with. It's been, I don't know, going on an hour now, plus it's sitting out in the, you know, on the porch with the wood stove nearby, so it's probably super dry by now. So you remember earlier we ripped these down to 3/8 of an inch for the maple. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 8 of these at 3 inches. So the 3 inches will give us enough height when assembled to have like a 1/4 inch over the top of the coasters, just to make it look a little better. But you know, again, once we get that looked at and place the coasters in, I may decide that we want to cut it flush with the coasters. I'm not really sure yet, but I'm going to go with 3 inches. That's probably how it's going to end up. So I'm going to measure out 3 inches, set up a stop block, and then I'm just going to cut them all. Alright, well, I took my little 8 side pieces here. I got them sanded down. I already sanded the full strips to a 180, I think. 180, 220, somewhere in there. So I just hit these with the hand sander. I think it was 220. Knocked off all the fuzzies. They're nice and smooth, square. So I set these aside here. And I know I'm kind of going back and forth between tables and whatever, but it is what it is. So we have the piece that we glued up earlier. Like I said, it's been sitting on the porch with the wood stove. It's been, I don't know, about an hour, give or take a little bit. So it's about ready to come out. After about 30, 45 minutes, glue is okay to work with and take out the clamps, but obviously the longer the better. But seeing as how this was in the 90-degree porch with the wood stove, we're going to take it out and just keep on working. And I got my, you know, on occasion chisel here. Just going to knock the big glue clumps off. And then we're just going to run it through the planer real quick and just get the rest of that glue off. Rather than sand it, I'll take a little bit off the top. That's, you know, this is 3/4 of an inch, so it's going to come down slightly below that on the finished product, but not that big a deal. So we want to plane that And since it's kind of short, I'm gonna run it through the planer, but I'm gonna like double side sticky tape it down to another piece of wood, so you know it goes through it without a problem. Well, I don't know what happened there, and I'm not gonna hide this from you, but I think when I glued this up, all the glue for some reason came out on the side, but I got a bad seam. It's like the glue didn't even take. It's like barely holding on. So I'm gonna have to glue it up again. This time I'll try to do it properly, I guess. I thought I did a pretty good job. I had glue on both edges, put them in there, clamped them up. So something must have got in there or moved around when I wasn't paying attention. So we'll go ahead and glue it up again. The worst that's going to happen is it's going to end up being planed down to 1/2 inch, which is the same as the thickness of the coasters anyway. So we got a little wiggle room, and I didn't want to, you know, tell you everything was perfect when it's not, because as soon as I could see it go through the planer the first time, I could see the seam. It wasn't tight. So like that looks pretty good, but it kind of looked like that. I probably can't even see that on the camera, but anyway, I'm going to fix it. So I'm going to get the glue back out, and we're going to start it again. So this time, I'm going to get the big clamps out. So I'm going to use these guys. So we have a flat bottom, and then we'll put the other clamps on to help it as well. Got my glue. Let's try this again. So since I showed you I made a mistake, we're gonna fix it. I got it glued back up again, and now I'm just gonna leave it overnight. I don't know, what time is it? 1 o'clock. So I'll come back tomorrow morning, you know, around 11. That should give it plenty of time to adhere to each other, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so here we are the next day, and as you saw earlier in the video, for whatever reason, my glue up didn't take. Whether I squeezed out all the glue or didn't put enough glue, pretty sure I put enough on there. You know, I put some on both edges, but anyway, try to correct it here. Redid the glue up. It's been sitting for 18 hours or so, so let's see what we got. See if it's gonna work this time. Yeah, that's gonna hold. All right, the glue is set. It looks better than last time, but I don't see a noticeable, you know, gap like I did last time. So I'm going to clean up the big chunks of glue with the chisel. I'm going to go ahead and run this through the planer. Just skim the top enough to take the glue off. All right, so ran this through the planer a few times. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out something. If you get a measure, you got to have the tools to measure. So the coasters are 4 by 4, probably a little slightly under 4 with the round over. So I'm thinking 4.5 by 4.5 should give it a little bit of play in there. Alright, so I marked out a 4.5 by 4.5 inch square right here. I'm sure you can't see it because pencil on the dark wood, I can barely see it. So that's going to leave like a, I don't know, a little bit of space all the way around the coaster, which is what I want. And then we're going to take the pieces that we cut earlier, the 3-inch pieces, and we're going to kind of go like so all the way around, and then the coasters will sit in there and not slide out. I don't know, just kind of winging it here. Never made one of these before, so I'm just going off of a picture I saw online. But anyway, I got my lines here. So I'm going to get this cut out over at the miter saw. I'm just playing around. I'm not quite sure how I want to put these on. Leave a little bit of a gap there, or try to put them as close together as possible. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But first, I'm going to get this sanded. I got pencil marks on there. I got a little bit of fuzzies, some tear out. All right. So I got this sanded up to 320. It's nice and smooth. I softened the edges with the sandpaper. I didn't give an actual like router around it over or anything like that. I just softened them up with the sandpaper. Just take the little edge off. Man, that is super smooth. I love it. Nice and square. So let's see with a coaster on it. Yeah, I think that'll work. So we'll put the edges on. So, but the next big step is, how do I want to assemble the side pieces? Do I just want to glue them on? Do I want to use glue and a brad nail? So I'm just using a tack cloth here to get all the dust off before I go using any glue or anything. It's kind of awkward to try to film this. You know, I got to put the camera over there, and then sometimes when I zoom in, it doesn't look very good, but I know I'm working with what I got here. So we're looking at something like that, a little bit of a gap, flush with the bottom. So let's hit it with a little bit of glue. And the brad nail will give it a little bit of extra stability as well. If you can get it to a position where you can do it. And that might not be the easiest way. Alright, so I think I got it figured out. So I got one brad nail and some wood glue in each corner. And I was trying to do it a few minutes ago, and you know, I got the glue all over the place, so I stopped the recording. Cleaned up all the glue, and actually did a water pop on the board itself because I forgot to do that. So I wiped it down with a wet cloth, let it dry, and then I sanded it again with the 320. So I'm just putting like a little tiny dab of glue, as the Bearded Viking says, add a dab of glue, and then I'm just gonna hit it with a 5/8 inch brad nail. So this corner actually came out decent. It's a little further, a little bit bigger of a gap than I would want, but I don't want to try to yank that brad nail out and start over. I'm just going to do the other three, try to make it all look the same. This is not going to be a for sale piece, so I'm not too worried about it. But as long as I make all the gaps about the same, it's going to look fine, and it could be for sale. You never know. I'm going to do one here with you. I'm going to try to bring the camera closer so you can see what I'm doing. So let's get this going here. I'm going to do a couple with you, and then I'll do the rest off camera. So I just put a little bit of glue on here. I'm doing it on the edge. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Rubbing it on there, and then hit it with the brad nail. Just watch your fingers while you're in there with the brad gun. It looks pretty close to the same. Alright, that's all 8 of those. I kind of like it. I'm going to just go ahead and try to clean up the glue that's coming out from the inside here. And then I am going to put some clamps on it. I'm gonna attempt to put some clamps on it. All right, so it's been probably almost an hour since we glued these up. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the clamps off. So don't forget we did put the brad nail in, so that's also helping to stabilize and support these. And that's what we got there. I think that looks pretty good, actually. Yeah, got to do a little glue cleanup. Not a lot here. I'm going to try to just clean that up a little bit. We'll sand it on the bottom again. Make sure everything is flush. And then we got a little bit of glue on the bottom as well, but I think it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty good to me. Okay, so got all the glue cleaned up. A little bit sanded on the bottom there to get rid of a little bit of glue. So I'm ready to put the walrus oil on, but first thing we need to do is I gotta brand it. And I got a new brand. So I showed you previously my complete logo, Jay Creates Woodworks, with the log and the tools and the year established and all that stuff. So the person I got the brand from said if I shared the listing on my social media, they would send me a free brand, and they did. And they're not going to send you a huge one or a custom, sized one. They're going to give you one it's like an inch by 3/4 of an inch or something like that. But it is perfect for smaller items, and it just says Jay Creates Woodworks, and that's it. So I got it warming up over there. It's been warming up for about a half an hour, but it's only like an inch by 3/4 of an inch. Make sure we got it in the right position here. And that's going to go right in the middle. 8 seconds seems to be pretty good for this one. Don't inhale the fumes. So let me show you. So it just says Jay Creates Woodworks, and I'm going to sand over that again because it's got like that burn halo. But if you sand it lightly, it should come right off. I'm just going to use the 320 grit, which is already on here. So it doesn't look too bad. I mean, looks a little smudged, but it's burnt in on the dark wood, so you can't really tell. Get this lathered up. I'll put this on here. And I'm not going to brush it on or paint it on or rub it on with a rag. I'm just going to use my hands and the gloves and just kind of massage it into the wood. You got a little preview here. See how it darkens up that walnut quite a bit. Makes it look really nice. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Alright, I'm just gonna do this. Maybe I'll speed it up and put a little music in there for you. Get on it. All right, so we let the coaster holder sit overnight, soak in that oil. Looks really, really nice. So I'm just giving it a little buffing with a dry towel just to get up any excess oil. Actually, it looks pretty dry to me, but I'm just gonna run the towel over it for a little bit, soak it up. Doesn't seem to be getting. The last thing I'm gonna do to this, and I'm not gonna do it right now because I don't have them yet, is I'm just gonna get little cork feet to put on the bottom, just so it doesn't scratch any tables or anything like that. Keep it a little bit elevated. I'm also probably going to put those cork feet on the bottom of the coasters just to help protect any surfaces that those go on. Not really, you know, that's a total up to you kind of decision if you want to do that or not, but I think it might help protect whatever table this is sitting on, or end table, or whatever, and just make it look a little better. So the coaster holder is done. Is it perfect? No. Is it bad? Not at all. So a couple things I would change. I do like this design. I think I wouldn't have any gap here, or maybe a smaller gap on the edges. I might make the base closer to the size of the coasters, because the coasters were 4x4 square, and I did the base 4.5 by 4.5 square. But when the coasters get rounded over, you lose a little bit of that 4-inch, so it's just under 4x4 square. So I would bring the base probably 4x4, and it'll fit the coasters a little bit more snug. I wouldn't make the supports as tall. These are 3 inches. I'd probably come down to 2 3/4 of an inch, just to have a 1/4 of an inch sticking up, as opposed to the 3/8 that is now. But all in all, I think it came out awesome, and these are going to be given away for New Year's when you're watching this after New Year's. So Happy New Year 2025. I guess that's it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, the like button, leave me a comment below, and we'll catch you in 2025.